This is a continuation of a previous video I done on my CD32. This broke at the end of it, so I couldn't get the CD running. So I managed to get a replacement part, just making sure it's going to line up correctly. And that's what I'm going to install today. So the previous video, the actual CD32 just had this kind of like snowfall effect on the screen. Got that back to a working screen again, replaced the capacitors, cleaned the board, got it all working, but now it's trying to get this CD part working. Just getting my tools ready here. So first things first, what I'm going to do with this one, rather than trying to use a solder gun, I'm just literally going to use braid and putting the flux on the braid and then just removing it as best as possible. Just putting a bit of flux on this little bit of foam here. And just dragging the braid through it just to coat it properly, and that does help it soak up the solder quite nicely. What I don't want here are any lift tracks or broken tracks or anything, because I can patch them, but it would just be nice to just get it all done in one go. Again, as you can see, the braid does suck up that solder quite nicely. So after a while of doing that, I realised some bits were off, some bits weren't. So I just thought I'd give it a try from the top. So again, the trouble is, because it's a double-sided printed circuit board, the solder can kind of come through onto the other side. And even though it looks clear at the bottom, there's still some on the other side. Because I don't want to keep this particular connector anymore, in the end I just thought I'm just going to brute force this, cut it and just remove it bit by bit. So you can see them two bits were desoldered nicely. Now it's just a case of working my way along it and just being really careful. This video is quite quick, however this probably took me over an hour to get it off as clean as possible. And when I say as clean as possible, I mean without lifting any tracks or breaking any tracks. And again, sometimes with these things, patience pays dividends. Go too quickly or pull too hard, lift a track up, and yeah, it just makes your life a lot harder. And as you can see, this thing is fighting every step of the way. So again, just removing some more solder from the back. Just to try and get this last little bit to lift up. And this was an absolute pain to get off, not gonna lie. So I'll put a link to the previous video in the description if you want to have a look at that. So now the connector's off, just going to remove the solder from the top. And I'm just going to use this little capacitor leg there just to poke through the holes. Some of them have still got a little bit of solder on them, just to kind of remove that solder so I can cleanly put the new ribbon cable connector on. Just giving a little clean up with some isopropyl alcohol. And as you can see, none of the tracks have lifted. It's all come off pretty nicely actually. So this is my replacement one, just making sure it goes in round the right way. Also making sure it's sitting flush to the board as well. So what I've done with this is I've just soldered 2 corners to start with, just to hold it in place, and I'm just going to go along every single pin and just solder it in place. Once I did that, I then used a magnifier just to make sure everything had a good amount of solder on it. So that is our finished board. Time to put it back in its case. Just going to put this top shielding back on, because the idea is I want to try and put this together as much as possible so I don't have to remove too much. Hopefully all the connections are making on the bottom of that connector, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Won't find out until I connect the CD unit. So trying to get this to sit down again was a little bit difficult. The ribbon cable on this is so small and so short that it's very hard to get it to locate properly. Now at this point I don't think I've got it in position correctly, but it is holding, so I thought I'd give it a try anyway, just see what we're getting. Power it on. Now I'm putting a disc in here, but I'm not convinced that this is working, and putting that disc in proves the point. I'm still getting it exactly the same as what it was before. So again, the way the CD unit works here is as soon as it feels pressure on the top of that, it will try and read a CD, and as you can see, it's not even spinning the CD at all. So what I've decided to do is remove the CD unit from the top part of the case and just plug that in separately, just to make sure I'm getting a good connection on that connection strip. So if you look, you've got that blue band there, and that blue band should be all the way down to the top of that connector, which I know it is now. I'm just going to put this underneath just to make sure it doesn't short out on anything. And then with it half dismantled, I'm going to power it up and see what we're getting. So, moment of truth. Instantly that's looking a lot better. The laser moved. So I think it's ready for a proper test. Just going to put the CD unit back on the top of the case and just loosely put it together for now and see what we're getting. So if you notice, the amber light just under the power light there is starting to flicker. No CD in it at the moment, which is fine. That CD unit is working and it is reading. One thing I did notice though is the colour seems to be a little bit washed out, so I think I'm going to have to go over some of them capacitors again. Also, the sound isn't sounding too brilliant either. Ooh. So finally we got our game working. So the other thing I can test now is my controller, which I've just repaired with some insulation tape. And I have to say, it does seem to work pretty well. So again, the game kind of got so far and then stopped. Me putting my finger on the top of it seemed to make it load properly. So I think the other issue is with where that hinge was repaired on this thing, it's not holding that lid down firm enough to make a connection all the time. So it's just gone back to the choice screen again. I think it's down to that lid. So for now we do the mug fix. So this will just put weight on there to hold it down, and yeah, it's working. As I say, the sound's a bit horrendous on it. The video, the colour looks a little bit washed out. Probably going to end up doing a third video on this, because Larson and Mats on the old video was saying about the two big capacitors, the through-hole capacitors, are in the wrong polarity, and apparently this was done at the factory. It's even marked up on the printed circuit board the wrong polarity. So I'm going to do some research in that, just see which way, if it is the correct way I'll put them in or not. But they need replacing anyway, because they're a bit too tall, and doesn't let the case close properly without touching the top of the shielding. But for now, that's it. It looks like it's all working. So with that, I will see you on the next one. Alright.